The Assyrians once descended upon their enemies like a storm. Ancient writers compared them to wolves falling upon helpless flocks, their armies gleaming with bronze, iron, and gold as they moved with unstoppable force. To those who witnessed their advance, it seemed as though the very order of the world was being reshaped before their eyes. This is the story of Assyria, the world's first true empire. At the height of its power, Assyria ruled an immense territory stretching from the Nile River to the Caspian Sea, and from the Mediterranean coast to the Persian Gulf. Long before Rome, long before Persia, the Assyrians pioneered the systems that would define imperial rule for thousands of years. They created the first professional standing army, replacing temporary militias with full-time soldiers trained for continuous warfare. They developed advanced siege tactics, military engineering, and logistics that allowed armies to move, fight, and supply themselves across vast distances. They built extensive road networks and established one of the earliest known postal systems, enabling messages, intelligence, and commands to travel with unprecedented speed. Nearly every empire that followed would adopt Assyrian innovations in administration, warfare, and state control. The Assyrians were a Semitic people whose distant ancestors once lived on the Arabian Peninsula. In the ancient world, this region was not yet the harsh desert it is today. It was a landscape of grasslands and seasonal rivers that supported early human settlement. Over time, however, the climate began to change. Rainfall decreased, the land dried, and survival became increasingly difficult. Waves of Semitic tribes migrated northward in search of water, fertile soil, and stability. Some settled in the Levant, while others moved deeper into Mesopotamia, the land between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. Those who entered Mesopotamia became known as the Akkadians. They mixed with the older Sumerian population, adopting their writing system, religious concepts, and administrative knowledge. Along the middle course of the Tigris River, small settlements gradually developed into cities. Among them were Nineveh, Arbela, and Ashur. These would become the heartland of Assyria. For centuries, these cities remained politically weak. They existed under the influence of stronger southern kingdoms and were absorbed at different times into the empires of rulers such as Sargon of Akkad and Hammurabi of Babylon. Assyria, at this stage, was not a conquering power. It was a frontier society shaped by trade. The city of Ashur lay directly along major trade routes linking Mesopotamia with Anatolia. Assyrian merchants took advantage of this position, establishing long-distance trading networks and permanent commercial colonies far to the north. The most important of these was Karam-Kanish, located deep in Anatolia. From the east, Assyrian traders transported tin, copper, and precious stones. From the west, they brought back silver, gold, woolen textiles, and timber. This trade generated immense wealth and transformed Ashur from a simple trading settlement into a major economic center. By the 19th century BC, Ashur had grown strong enough to break free from Babylonian control and assert its independence. Yet Ashur was more than just a city. It was also the name of the Assyrians' supreme god. Unlike other Mesopotamian cities that worshipped patron deities while remaining politically separate from them, the Assyrians believed their city and their god were inseparable. Ashur was seen as the embodiment of cosmic order, justice, and rightful authority. The city itself was considered sacred, and its very existence was believed to reflect divine law. In this system, the human ruler was not a king in the usual sense. He ruled only as the earthly representative of the god Ashur. His authority was limited by councils of elders and elected officials, creating a political structure that restrained absolute power. For a time, this balance endured. But the ancient Near East was rarely stable. Trade networks collapsed, rival kingdoms fought for dominance, and Assyria once again fell under foreign influence. First came renewed Babylonian control, followed by domination by the powerful Mitanni kingdom. During this long period of subjugation, the Assyrians learned. They absorbed military technologies from their overlords, including the light war chariot, the composite bow, and improved armor. These innovations would later become the backbone of Assyria's military success. By the 14th century BC, the political landscape shifted. Internal conflicts weakened the Mitanni, and Assyrian leaders seized the opportunity. City walls were rebuilt. Foreign officials were expelled. For the first time, Assyrian rulers openly declared themselves kings. This marked a fundamental transformation. Assyria was no longer just a city-state. It became a territorial state known as the Land of Ashur. With independence came a new ideology. Expansion was no longer seen as ambition or greed. It was understood as divine obligation. The Assyrians believed the god Ashur represented universal order, while lands beyond Assyrian control were realms of chaos. To conquer was to impose order. To resist was to oppose divine law. Assyrian kings adopted increasingly grand titles, presenting themselves as rulers chosen by the gods to expand the boundaries of civilization itself. Military success was no longer political achievement alone. It was sacred duty. Relentless campaigns followed. Rival powers were defeated, absorbed, or destroyed. Assyria perfected siege warfare, using battering rams, towers, and coordinated assaults to overcome fortified cities that had once been considered impregnable. They also pioneered new forms of warfare.
Forward to victory! Soldiers of the Empire!
Cavalry units were developed as independent forces, allowing rapid movement across the battlefield. Military engineers accompanied armies, ensuring that no wall or river could halt their advance. Unlike earlier empires, Assyria ruled conquered lands directly. Local rulers were replaced with governors loyal to the king. Garrisons were stationed throughout the empire. Roads connected distant provinces, and couriers carried reports back to the capital. To maintain this vast system, warfare became continuous. Annual campaigns supplied the state with tribute, labor, and resources. The empire fed itself through conquest. Fear became one of Assyria's most effective tools. Their reputation alone often forced cities to surrender without resistance. In the short term, this strategy brought stability and rapid expansion. But fear has consequences.
Forward to victory! Soldier!
Over time,
the fortress is within
resentment
reach.
spread.
The men are ready, Captain.
Subject peoples obeyed, but they did not forget. Rebellions became increasingly common. To suppress resistance, the Assyrians adopted a radical policy of mass deportation. Entire populations were uprooted and resettled in distant regions of the empire. The goal was to break cultural identity, weaken resistance, and integrate conquered peoples into Assyrian society. This policy had unexpected effects.
Keep moving! Do not stop!
The Aramaic language spread across the empire and gradually replaced Assyrian as the common language of administration in daily life. Even within Assyria's heartland, Aramaic became dominant. Under kings such as Sargon II, Sennacherib, and Esarhaddon, Assyria reached the height of its power. Egypt, Elam, Phoenicia, and much of Anatolia fell under Assyrian control. The empire appeared invincible. Yet its strength concealed deep weaknesses. Endless warfare drained resources. Internal rivalries destabilized the court. Provinces grew restless.
The temples are full, the priests must act.
Crowd grows restless, we need answers. The omens are dire, we cannot delay.
The temples are full, the priests must act.
After the reign of Ashurbanipal, the last great Assyrian king, the empire began to fracture. Civil conflict erupted. Former subjects rose in rebellion.
Behold the might of Assyria!
New enemies emerged along Assyria's borders. In 612 BC, a coalition of Babylonian and Median forces laid siege to Nineveh. After months of fighting, the Assyrian capital fell. Within a few years, the remaining strongholds collapsed. By the end of the 7th century BC, Assyria had vanished from history. The first empire in human history proved that absolute power could reshape the ancient world. But it also revealed a timeless truth. Empires built on fear may rise quickly, but they rarely endure.
Like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more.